Welcome everybody to the Smite 5.9 Dragon's Fortune Update Notes Patch Review. I'm going to be going about item balance right now, and then in a different episode, I will go over the gods. First off, Soul Eater, Evolved Soul Eater specifically, got a buff. It now gives 15% ability lifesteal instead of 10. Only thing I can think of is, Cama got that nerf a couple patches ago to his passive. It's such an incredible amount of lifesteal that maybe he picks it up. I don't really see another really god that would really utilize this that much, but I could be proven wrong, and that's fine. Heidi the Urchin. Now, Heidi the Urchin did not see a lot of play. I did see some play in the SPL. It has been built some, but it was just too hard to stack the item. In the way the meta has been formed this year, where the solo laner really hasn't been involved in all the action as they have been in the past in other metas in previous seasons. They decreased the stacks from 10 to 7. They increased protections gained per stack from 2 to 3. And they decreased the amount to take time to take to generate a shield from 3 to 2 seconds. You get the shield online quicker is basically what it says. You get your evolved Heidi the Urchin on quicker, and you get 1 extra protection is basically what this says. I think it makes it better. Don't know how much more it'll be picked up, but we could potentially see a swing to where this gets picked up more often. So we'll see how it goes. Soda Biting is up next. Basically, they changed the visual effects to where you can definitely tell the aura. It's 55 unit aura that this penetration buff happens. Basically, if you hit an opponent with, or rather, enemy god with a crowd control, it places a penetration buff around the area for it's a 10 to 15. Actually, it's a 15 flat penetration buff, and it lasts for I think 4 or 5 seconds. I don't remember 100%, but think about Ymir. He has 3 ways to use this. He has a slow on his 2, the stun on his 3, and the slow on his ultimate. So, if you freeze somebody, anybody around you on your team is going to get this buff of 15 pin. That's pretty big. That's like having a free penetration item for an assassin, a jungler, or a mage. Or a mid laner, rather. So that's pretty nice. And Ymir itself does a lot of base damage. So, in that respect, he's really maybe could be seen like as a tanky guardian jungle that can still put out loads of damage. Talisman Energy. Basically what they did, they increased the radius from 55 to 70 units, increased the buff duration a couple seconds from 6 to 8, and they increased the mass stacks from 5 to 6, which a full wave is 6 minions. Why they didn't do it in the first place, I don't know, but I'm just glad they fixed it because now it's more consistent with what you would be able to use it for. However, still, why would you ever use this? I don't see a reason why I'm going to pick this up. As I said, in the last time they buffed the item, it's got a great effective health, 300 health, 60 physical or magical protection rather. I just don't think there's a place for this item. I like the idea of, hey, we can go do stuff with this, but what are you really going to do with this? I don't like this at all. What I do like is Shogun's Kasari buff. They increased the protection on this item 2 patches ago, back to its original state, which was 50. Now, they've buffed it up to 60. And it's just because it's not seeing a lot of play. Like, even if the right comps you were able to build this item, it wasn't being built. And typically, when it first came out last season, it was being built on warriors such as Bellota, Osiris, that could utilize the effect of Shogun's Kasari. But it still wasn't being picked up, and AA warriors and assassins have not really been a thing this season. So I like the buff, and they also buffed Erlong Shen a few patches ago, and they did this patch, which I'll talk about next video. But I hope to see something happen with this. I really want to see some more AA gods. Sovereignty. So basically what they did here is say the aura meta has been so strong that we're going to nerf the Premier 2, which are Sovereignty and Heartward. They did these both in different ways. Sovereignty will still give you the full aura protection, but it's the owner of the item, or the person who bought the item, rather, your support, just has 5 less protection overall. I don't think this is a big deal. I think you're still going to see this over Jades and anything else that would compete with this item, no matter what. This is 2100 for this. It's really good. Heartward, they did it differently for this. They decreased the magical protection provided by 5. It was giving 20, now it's giving 15. We'll get to something later, just in just a couple minutes. But a little spoiler, they buffed boots because mages were quote-unquote underperforming. Yeah, right? I don't get that either. So, that's, it's, if you think about it, if this was being built, this is a small buff to the mages and a big nerf to everybody else that would get this protection. Titans Bane Opshard. Okay. So, they basically made this item to where you only want to use it for tanky compositions. These items, rather. It now scales from 15% up to 40%. The 15% basically is only going to give you like 7 flat pin, if you were to translate it to that. So you'd never want to buy it. Except for, we could be seeing tanky meta, and maybe they're preparing for that. So they increased the max penetration to 40%. I think the offshard's 45% if I remember correctly. I think it's a typo. But it's just going to allow... I don't know. I guess you don't even build these unless you see those really tanky comps. Maybe if you were building this, you build the last pin item in the mace tree you didn't build, or you might go for a void shield. I really don't know, but I just kind of rip this item, except for if it's a tanky composition. And here's the change I talked about. Choose a focus, choose a magi. So, I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. Magical boots are seeing power increases this patch. When looking at overall god performance, mages are slightly underperforming compared to the rest of the god pool. While mid as a role may be super impactful, we will see multiple instances where other classes beside mages can succeed in that position. To help mages better compete against other classes for the mid lane role, we are increasing the base power of 2 types of shoes, something core to all mage players. Now, they say Shoes of Focus will be getting a slightly larger buff this patch than Shoes of Magi, which is already overall the popular choice. The reason it was the most popular choice is it had 45 power, 10 penetration, and obviously the 18 movement speed. Shoes of Focus had 40 power, so 5 less power, 10% cooldown reduction instead of the 10 penetration, and 250 mana, and the 18% movement speed, of course. So, you did a lot more damage with your penetration boots than you did with Shoes of the Magi, or Shoes of Focus, rather. Now it's going to be interesting, because gods that like cooldown, like Janus, don't have to go into Shoes of the Magi. They can go Shoes of Focus and get the cooldown they want. And that's also scary, because you can also think Hebo about that, and think about how Paul's been wrecking the SML with Hebo and his mages. Yuck. Right? But this is also a buff to Guardians. If Guardians already built Shoes of Focus or Shoes of Magi, like an Ares, maybe like a Terror or Sobek, then they're already gonna do more damage because they gained 15 power on the shoes of their choice. To put this in perspective, say you're level 5 and you're playing Ares, and you pick Shoes of Magi. You have the 55 power, you have the 10 penetration. You have 2 marks into your 1, which means you're doing 45 damage per tick, and if you hit all 3 chains, you're going to do about 750 damage. You could almost solo, or you probably will solo, a level 5 or 4 or 3 hunter by yourself. But that wraps it up for me. If you have any comments, questions, anything like that, put it in the comment section down below. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have or respond to any comments you may have. So with that, I'm out. See you next time.